Well, hello and welcome to TargetedWest.com. This is our 13th show, and my name is DJ Chris, the moderator and the video host. And we'll be talking about various subjects today. A list I make during the week, and then I research them and post them on my Twitter page for you to review them further. I hope you're doing well. It's 101 degrees here in Lodi. It is the 26th of June 2022, and all sorts of crazy stuff is going on in the country. Supreme Court has made some decisions, and people are not too happy. So that's what's going on. People are hungry. Inflation's crazy. If you're watching this down the road in posterity, there's a lot of pressure going on. Gas prices are crazy. It's a big inflation issue, bigger than 40 years ago, because I remember 40 years ago, and it was bad, but this feels a little worse. So anyway, I'm glad you made it to BitChute.com for my video channel, or YouTube as my backup, and for posterity, I will have this video on archive.org where you can download it and put it in your hard drive. Before I continue, I'd like to show you something I had done recently. Oops, if I get it straight here. Well, it's a business card, and if you're going to have get-togethers where you have conferences in person and meetings and maybe go to an area and get together as a group and put some signs out and stuff, and you can give these to each other. You can get them made on gotprint.com. These are like 50 to 60. It's glossy, and I paid $14 shipped at gotprint.com, so you can have these made up for your upcoming TI day coming up in August, or July for somebody. And you have these made and you hand them to your friends. Plus, it's discreet. I don't have a lot of information on it. I just have my email address, my website, and I uploaded that logo, and the background was on the site. Make your own card. Easy, easy, easy. And they also make other things like banners and larger cards and all sorts of things that you can put your name on and put out the word about the targeting to people. You could probably put some messages on there about basic stuff, make it a bigger card, make it look classy. So anyway, I hope you're well. We've got a good crowd coming in already. I really appreciate that. This is, like I said, the 13th show. And if you know the Illuminati Freemason, 13 is a big deal. But not here. This is 13. So before the show started, I was, oh, by the way, I'm an old man. Don't know why I have this telepathy or whatever I have. The clinic says I'm mentally ill. And my friends here in the targeting community say no. I don't really talk to anyone about it. And also, I'm not a patriot. I'm not left or right, an extremist, spouting off dangerous stuff. I am none of that. I just want to do some research with my friends and find out why I have voices in my head while I'm in my camper. That's it. And the first one we're going to talk about is KUBARK. My voices screamed at me while I was getting ready for this show, and they kept going, don't say anything about KUBARK. So what does DJ Chris do when someone says to do something? I do the opposite. So we're going to talk about KUBARK. So I guess KUBARK came out in 1963. It's just interrogation methods to find out if you're a communist. That's all it is. Another communist hunting program. Jeez, that's just that. Sometimes I wonder, you know, when you really go deep enough, you'll know that the whole thing's kind of silly. Especially when the Federal Reserve was started with money stolen from a Russian extremely rich man and started. So, come on, give me a break. Go deep into that if you want to. But KUBARK is I have to write this down because I forget this word. It's a cryptonym. Cryptonym. I missed a P. Cryptonym. Basically, it's also a diagram. Diagraph. Boy, I missed that by far. And based on two pretexts put together. A whole bunch of them. KUBARK means the Langley, Virginia location of the CIA, and it's their counter-terrorism, counter-intelligence interrogation methods laid down piece by piece. And the reason why I research is because my voice has used the KUBARK technology for 20 years, and I read through it, and it's all the same stuff. Okay. Now, if I'm crazy, how would I be crazy enough to learn KUBARK when I've never really read it until this week? See what I mean? But the voices threaten me again, and I have to be really cool about that. But anyway, along with that and other of these abbreviations, they had all sorts of programs to torture people, and I saw one of them was remote torture or something. I can't quite remember that, but we'll get that in another subject another time. So that they went on about that. That's KUBARK. I put the Stanford University version. Someone wrote a paper on it, and also other stuff. And I put it on my TI Club 3 link site on Twitter. And of course, you don't have to be a member to access that. That's TI Club 3. We are a book club, so that's why it's TI Club. Let me have a sip. Yeah, to be a KUBARK interrogator, you have to even be well-groomed and have a high IQ and all that stuff to be able to pull that off well. And everybody has their own style in interrogation. But it's all pretty generalized in that document I posted on Twitter, which has the whole document. And it was declassified in 1997. It includes a lot of different torture methods, so if it triggers you, I would probably not read it, and that's why I'm going to go to the next subject. But again, that's KUBARK, CI, for counterintelligence, a CIA product, 1963 that we found out about later. Next subject matter is NASA. I call it Nazi NASA. Nazi NASA because in 1958 they started NASA, and they, of course, got Braun, what's his name, to come in. He was really not a Nazi. He was forced into being a Nazi, like a lot of people were, and they had him bring his V2 technology to NASA. You can see him with his big cut in his face. Like I said in last week, they'll do their fencing, and they'll accidentally cut each other in the side of the face, and then they'll put horsehair in it to make it look bigger and permanently scar. And he's sitting there at the launch at Kennedy with his big scar, with Kennedy sitting next to him, JFK. Funny, huh? And so they also probably brought a lot of more stuff in along with those different scientists, and there's a lady that wrote a book in quite a bit of detail about it that I'm going to research further. And I also posted a big article about the history of NASA, and a lot of people say the targeting we have comes from NASA, and I believe that, since I believe the roots of it is the Nazi scientists, of course. We're going to incorporate other scientific discoveries into that, and it's all for human control and behavior control. That's what the world wants out of their citizenry. And that's what this technology is, apparently. Next subject is, I briefly talked about the history of DARPA, and the person that I'm going to buy the book from is Annie Jacobson, and she has a very great interview that I posted also on TI Club 3 that basically describes their history, which basically started because of Sputnik, and we had to catch up. And it's very interesting. They were the ones that invented the sensor technology in the Ho Chi Minh Trail, and that, of course, led to the sensors we're using today. And that changed everything when they had that. I think it was MacArthur's Lane is what it was called. But anyway, and then they of course showed up for the Iraqi war, used their technology because Dick Cheney wanted it to be a technological war, and he was involved in both. First with Big Bush and then with Junior Bush, so he was in the cabinet in both situations. So that's probably a book I'm going to buy for the TI Book Club, and that's Annie Jacobson, and that's the history of DARPA. Inside the Mind of DARPA is the name of the book. It's a real good read, I'm sure, and we'll be hooking that up. I hope everybody's well. It's 6 p.m. and it is the 26th, like I said, of June 2022, and we're here in Lodi. It's now 95 degrees, so it's cooled down a bit. Air conditioning's on. The next topic you can talk about is TIA, which was Total Information Awareness. I got turned into Terrorist Information Awareness, and that's part of the War on Terror. And I put a big write-up on Twitter also on that, and it is listed in quite a bit of detail. We're going to go a little faster here. This is a doozy. I'm sure you've heard of biometrics that the government keeps on us. So biometric can be your face, your voice, the way you walk, which is your gait, your tattoos, your facial dimensions, your eye, the eyes, how they're separated, the nose, the ears, everything. And they can use all that and put it in a biometrics database. Well, unfortunately, the FBI's version didn't work very well, so the DOD took it away, and they developed it into a big, gigantic system. But the problem was the DOD and the FBI and the DHS couldn't all use the same database at the same time. So I just found out that they have now widgeted it all together, and it should be online. So they're going to share that biometrics database on you with each other. Isn't that lovely? And of course, that also is on the Twitter page for you to check out. Let's check out, see who we got. We got a big crowd here. Big, large crowd. Everybody's here. Great to see. I see great people here that I've talked to on email and such. Thank you for coming in. As I said earlier, I got some cards made up. You can have cards made up for TI Day and hand them out. Put information about the program in the back. I wouldn't put your phone number, but I put your email. Yeah. I do it. Give them out. $14 at gotprint.com, and it's printed in LA, so it's USA all the way, no Chinese print. Caller 00, that was Lily's idea to try the sterling silver netting material, and she said it really worked well for her. So Can you let us know how that turns out for you? You're mentioning in the chat room, and that would be, oh, and so they use silver netting. I'm assuming that's real silver. It is. Very interesting. Let us know how that turns out, because people asked me about shielding, and I forgot about Lily using silver material with silver plating on the cloth. She said, don't wash it and be very careful, because when you sweat on it, it gets kind of weird. But okay, so we discussed the biometrics. What we're doing is we're going back to basics and starting from scratch. There's things that I either forgot or I don't know, so I'm kind of learning along with you. And if you don't really want to hear about it, you can move it forward. But this one's the echelon system and the information that was disclosed by Snowden, and that's still being used today. It gleans its information from several sources and keeps track of us for our own safety, of course. And I put an article also on TI Club 3 on Twitter. You're probably saying, why don't I just go to Twitter and not listen to you? But this is the best part, because I can kind of explain it as much as I can remember. The history of MKUltra, I went into detail also with 2 articles. You got to know your history before you know the future. And they used a lot of the reason why I went back to MKUltra, and I'll tell you why. You're going, because they are talking about using LSD right now for medicine to treat illnesses, and they're also talking about brain implants at the NIH website, the brain blog I mentioned. So it is relevant. So they're using the drug. The reason why they did all the LSD is because they thought if you kept pumping LSD into someone and depriving them of things, you can get them to tell you the truth or break them. What they were really trying to do is use the drugs without you knowing that you took it to see how you act. And of course, I mentioned, was it MK Love, where the prostitutes at the brothel and the Johns took the LSD and they filmed it at the CIA. And some people say this is a 2.0 MKUltra, but it's more of a like Electric RX, which is a DARPA electronic medicine invention. They're now giving us the drugs through the technology, I would assume, because they can manipulate your body mechanically through the technology that makes the same chemicals in your body react to the drugs like LSD, you see? So it's digital, okay? See the correlation? Okay. I did you a preview of this. UC Irvine is growing new limbs, and someone mentioned MedBed, and that actually comes close to it. So check out the UC Irvine growing new limbs post I put onto the TI Club 3. That's twitter.com/TI Club 3, and there's a full write-up on that, and that answers that person's inquiry into MedBeds. Next one is Securus technology. Securus is the system that you call your loved one at prison in, and they charge you an exorbitant amount of money. But not only do they offer systems for talking to your loved ones from prison, but they also have investigative software for investigating people, which I believe is probably used. This company's been around for 30 years. I'm sure they can outbid others for government applications, and I'm sure their databasing and systems are probably being used, either that or Lockheed, like I said. And by the way, I reposted the Prophets of War, Prophets of War book on TI Club 3 Twitter page. You can buy the book and read it. I read it in 2019, and they're probably involved too. with the databasing. Most of the government outsourced in the 90s and 2000s. It's cheaper to outsource, and if something goes wrong, you blame it on the third party. That way you are clear of any type of recourse, okay? And so Lockheed does a lot of the database IT technology, and basically almost every function of every governmental agency now, they've completely taken that over, okay? And then, of course, you've got Securus, which has been around for 30 years, and they're probably more on the local end. I hope you're doing well. We'll slow down a little bit. Welcome back, Setsa. We got a full house. We've got almost 30 people here, 24 actually. That's pretty good. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you. I appreciate your taking your time out to check me out and our show. Well, hey, the brain, you know, we're always talking about the brain and how this technology affects us, so I thought I'd go further, and I posted a complete 101 class on the basic functions and the parts of the brain and what they do. That way you will have a reference. And you know, the back of the brain where Richard Lighthouse says they hit you is the little brain back there. So what is that all about? That's my assumption based on the trajectory set of the back of the head to where the little brain is. Whatever it's called, I forgot. So I'm learning about how the brain works. It is a brain technology. We are in a brain program. We might as well go back to basics and relearn how the brain works, because I have forgotten the frontal lobe, the ganglia, and the brain stem, and the pineal gland, and the pituitary gland, and everything. You've got and the sheaths, the myelin sheathing, your brain barriers, how that works, how the neurons work. And you know, the brain is chemicals and electricity. And I'm sure they can manipulate not only the electricity part of the brain, but the chemical part, and create I said again, an electronic digital drug. Okay? Before we go to open mic, we got two more subjects to talk about, and it's 6:22. The next is a drug that Guy in the chat room mentioned and on the call that I researched, and it seems to be a good little drug. And it's called Moringa, Moringa, and it's a mood-enhancing drug. And I did a lot of research, spent a little while, I guess, and what do you guys in the chat room think about Moringa? Have you ever tried Moringa? So if you want to try something, that would be interesting. Yeah, guys mentioned that, and I did some research. Yeah, is that what that Moringa is, kava? Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, it's not addictive. Yes, it would be a good alternative. But it's a mood enhancer. Is that not interesting? So, yeah, I approve of Moringa. DJ Chris puts his magic cannabis wand out and says, Moringa is good. Maybe I'll try some. Why not? Can't suck on this cannabis pipe forever, you know. Well, I could, actually. And by the way, I'm smoking oldpal.com. Old Pal is a shareable marijuana. And this is a vape. It's 1 gram. And the last subject before you open mic is, can you believe this? You've heard of the Rolls-Royce Automobile Company? Well, they make nuclear devices. And James Valentine, who died, that mentioned underground tunnels, the DUMS, mentioned there was a nuclear technology down there, 3,000-pound or so box back in the 90s that provided a lot of power to everything underground. So apparently Rolls-Royce makes modular systems, and I call them nuke boxes, and they're modular, so you can have one and you can have in your building, and you could have many. It's scalable, and it's by Rolls-Royce, and it's compact modular something. And anyway, it's Rolls-Royce, and it's small nuclear device used for running apparently the quantum-based computers in the tunnels, according to Lily. And if you're out there, Lily, come on the call, please. Okay, we're gonna flip over to the next page, and we're going to put this here. I'm going to switch status. Okay, well, if you want to talk, hit *6, and I'm getting ready to announce a death of a very famous targeted individual, so if no one wants to speak, I'd like to do the respect part for him. Well, anyway, we lost Dr. Ed Spencer. He was a neurologist and worked with Romola D. He worked with Derek, and he was part of the Richmond, California event where they got that ordinance passed, which isn't the total solution, but it's a beginning, and I think we need to work on going to more cities and doing more of that. So, Dr. Ed Spencer, rest in peace. He just died recently. He's from Los Altos, California. He went to both Stanford and Yale and back to UC California, and he practiced as a neurologist for decades until he retired. And he's quite a character. I knew him through Greg, who's a guitar player that worked as a volunteer at KPFA in Berkeley. And that's how we all, a bunch of old men. They're not in a camper, but I am. And yeah, that's hard on me. Yeah. So Ed, rest in peace, buddy. You're not in pain anymore. Okay? We all love you. Rest in peace, my friend. Dr. Ed Spencer, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll put a link for his video he did with Romola on the call for you to review. You'll fall in love with him. Real character. Humorous. Very intelligent. And he talks about conehead people. And he's got a whole theory on that. Not a lot of people understand that, how the anthropology works. And he's a neurologist, so he sees different shapes of heads. Anyway, next thing is a correction. Anybody want to talk? Next is a correction. I said Steve Wozniak went to my dad's Los Gatos Lodge as a Freemason, the Mount Moriah Lodge. I was wrong. He went to the Campbell Lodge. So Steve Wozniak is an admitted Freemason, and he went to the Campbell, California, USA Lodge. So I want to make sure you knew that. Talk amongst yourselves, open mic. Hello. Yes.
Where's Campbell, California? Okay.
Campbell, California is near San Jose, and it's approximately 50 miles south of San Francisco.
Okay, thank you.
Did you say Los Altos or Campbell? Oh, yeah, Campbell. Yeah, Campbell is, and then Los Altos, where Ed Spencer grew up, is a few miles towards San Francisco, so that's about 40 miles from SF off at 280 near Stanford.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a cool guy. You would have liked him, HC. So let's take a moment of silence for him, please.
Hi.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Were you on the PAX call last night? Was that you?
I was on the PAX call last night, yes.
And did you say that your fridge was talking to you? Were you being serious or were you joking?
I was extremely serious, and my partner's sister committed suicide that week, and then that was done to us, and I had to buy a new refrigerator, which cost me $900, and it was dead serious and scared my dog and us to death, and it was literally her crying. So it could be a spiritual energy thing as she was leaving the earth, or it could have been technological. But it happened.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. They also talk from the coil on my coffee machine in the past. My new refrigerator, the microwave, the magnetron, yeah, it's where they use devices to amplify their signal that are usually, vibrations or devices that are like coils that amplify, and they use fans a lot too. And I've heard voices from fans coming in out of the bathroom, and a lot of that's someone told me last night it was from Medusa, extremely low frequency, 3 hertz to 300 hertz, and then they could cause the refrigerator to talk, and that's why I mentioned it. So thank you for asking.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why I tend to think it's technological rather than spiritual.
Yeah, because she didn't know where she didn't know where we lived.
Oh.
The good thing, the refrigerator was from 1982, and I got a new fridge. But the bad news, I'll never forget that. Hold it. We can't remember if it kept going when we unplugged it, but it did it when it was plugged in. It was a Mana refrigerator from '82, all metal, so it probably just had the right size to use the right frequencies and whatever, and the motor going in it and such. So,
I just had never had that experience, so it was hard to hear. I wasn't sure if you were telling a joke or if you were being serious.
Yeah, serious as a heart attack.
Okay.
Next topic is a Jason group. And Jason group, some people say, are involved with the Illuminati because they're so mysterious. But they're the group of scientists that advise the government on almost everything. And did you know that they are actually against implants in your brain? They actually advise against that, but everybody's going along with it because they say Jason is outdated. Isn't that funky? And Jason's based on the Greek mythology god Jason, which was made up by one of the wives of the scientist at a party. Isn't that funky? And of course, they would get together during the summer and come up with solutions. And one of the technologies sounded like the Medusa technology, so I just wanted to tell you that the Medusa is the one that does 3 hertz to 300 that I think talked on my coil of my refrigerator. It's a very large coil, so a big frequency would vibrate that, whereas if it were a tiny coil, a higher frequency would vibrate it. Like a subwoofer is big and a tweeter is tiny. Any questions?
That lady who... Yes?
Go ahead.
Was that lady who just asked you, who thought you might be joking, is she new to the calls? Because there's a lot of TIs on these calls that have talked about similar, using the refrigerator for their sound.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Next subject matter is a warning from one of the church people I watch on the computer, and he says there's a stellar magic going on while the planets are aligned. That's Dr. Bill Schnoebelen. I don't know if you know him, the guy, old man with the gray beard that talks about the Freemasonry, that I posted that you need to watch the 2-hour show and learn about them. And he says to be very careful. There's a lot of crazy energy out right now. It's going to subside by tomorrow, I believe. So be very careful. You yourself or others or people in general or more could be reacting to it in a way that's not safe or comfortable. So be careful. So he's warning that subsides, the 4 planets and that the moon, that subsides tomorrow. So it should be calmer in the universe. And of course, I mentioned the history of the Freemasonry. That's a 2-hour must-watch video you need to watch. You'll learn the whole history of it. It's very interesting, especially when they hoodwink you and make you wear pajamas and put your hands down on the Bible and swear to an oath to them, not to God. So you're making an oath to Lucifer, which at the top levels of Scottish Rite and the high levels of Freemasonry becomes Satan. So, okay? Very important that you watch that. Not saying that Freemasons are involved. I'm saying that some of the Freemasons are involved. A lot of law enforcement, judges, lawyers are Freemasons. Not all lawyers now, but most. Not all police, not all judges, but most. They're a gang. If you did this, if you get, Lord help me, God help me, put your hands down like you're in the Bible and you say, I am the son of a widow, you will get help. If you put your feet, if you're a master mason, you put your feet like that, the judge sees it, it probably dismiss your case. That's how powerful it is. So I kind of giggle when people say they're going to court. That's okay, you can go to court if you want. Other courts in other countries may be more liberal, though, of course, but the United States system is definitely by the Masons, for the Masons. And last but not least, the old press versus new press, and this is kind of a joke, because they're all the same issues. Now it's just pressing a keyboard, where it used to be you're pressing onto paper with ink. So, anyway, that concludes my monologue. I'm going to let you speak, and you can ask me questions about any of the topics. And then later on, before the hour's up, I'll give you a preview of next week's show. Open mic, chill, relax, talk. Oh, the technology, the Jason technology, the 3 to 300 hertz is called Project Bassoon, which I think is Medusa. Okay? Talk amongst yourselves. Any new TIs want to share? It's usually the seasoned TIs that talk, and it's time for the new folks to talk. Any new folks, or fairly new, or someone that's been underserved by not allowed to be talking on these calls? Go right ahead. And just because you don't want to talk now doesn't mean you can do it at another time, and I'll always give those breaks to allow you. So how is everybody doing in the chat room? And I see we're packed. Very good call tonight. Thank you, guys. We unfortunately, not only did Ed die, but one of my kitty cats that was sick died. So I had a cat and a human die. So it's been kind of dark around here. Did you want to talk? The good news, I saved 11 kittens and now got homes. And one of the cats is getting fixed tomorrow. So we don't have any more kittens. Isn't that a clever idea, huh? Get the cats fixed. And it's $83. How can you miss out on that? $83 and a little gas? Jeez. Everyone should have a side passion. Mine wasn't supposed to be cats. I would always think mine would be music, being a DJ, or now a podcaster, but, now it's the cats, because the cats showed up and they need me, and they need everybody. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm a dog person. So, you always be ready to change. Be loose and flow with the cosmic forces, because it's always the best way. That is pretty cool, caller. Yeah, they charge a little bit here, but... And the cat rescue people we use down the street gives us meds, and she has the doctor review our videos and pictures and all that. So we've got a little network going. Since the COVID thing, everybody's neglected all the animals, and a lot of people moved out and left animals here, which is just awful. And they're doing that with dogs too in Arizona. I saw a video about that. That's just awful. Can you at least find a owner for the animal? So next week we'll be talking about signals intelligence of Five Eyes. And apparently the Five Eyes history goes back to the UK-USA agreement in 1946. So apparently we've been exchanging spying on each other's countries, so that, what's the word for that? You can't blame yourself if you don't have any liability. If you're watching the video on BitChute and you want to type something in your computer, here's one that'll blow your mind. It's CameroTech.com. CAMERO-TECH.com. That's an Israeli startup company that's making a handheld device that looks through walls and uses AI to track the people inside. It can tell you if it's a human, dog, animal, or baby, or adult. And it's called CameroTech.com. And it's an Israeli company. Isn't that scary? Handheld device. Yeah, except Nancy, it's CAMERO. Try CAME. I know it's crazy. Camero. There you go. Yeah, it's just absolutely crazy. And that's a new technology they're going to be using. Probably, it says for law enforcement, military. And then I talked earlier about the CIA cryptonyms and digraphs, the 2-character prefixes that they have for everything. I listed a wiki page showing every single program, and the CIA is mostly a bunch of rich people that send their kids there, and they recruit from college from rich kids, and it's their way of playing 007, literally. Not to defame you, and then there's a lot of very well-trained, awesome CIA agents that do a very awesome job, and I'm not anti-government, I'm not anti-CIA, I'm just describing how this stuff works. And it's all on the internet. No one emails me with secret information, calls me. No one calls me. I don't take phone calls. And the only email I have is djchris@targetedwest.com, where you can send commentary and ideas for the next show. Would be nice for our for Halloween 4th of July show, where I'll be on here 7/3 on Sunday next week. So yeah, I'm not anti-government. I'm patriotic. I pay my taxes.
Question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
That Wednesday, do you know anything about that Wednesday book club call with Shama and Emerald? Do you know is that on Derek's call info number?
And so, yeah, I don't know anything about that.
He's got the info, and I emailed Derek, but he hasn't got back. He's got the info on the book club, but he doesn't tell what dial-in number to use. So I don't. If he's got the time and the date and everything, and he's doing it, but he doesn't say is it on his call. But that's okay. If you don't know either, then I'll just kind of like wait and find out later, maybe. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry. And I have my own book club, but where I could help them promote it, but no one speaks to me because I'm the black sheep of the community, which is nice because I don't get any emails or anything. It's so quiet being the black sheep.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. No, I literally get zilch. You guys probably get more than I get.
I don't know, but I know that
Well, I know.
Shama
I live it.
usually comes on these calls, but I texted her about it and I got no response. So I don't know it. Maybe she's not texting me back.
What are we talking about? The book club like I have?
Well, the one that Shama and Emerald are doing on Wednesday.
Ah, okay. Yeah, but I've been doing a book club for 13 weeks here, and I could help promote theirs if they would give me their info, but I'm the black sheep.
And when is yours on?
Can we wrap this up? So anyway, I'm raising the price point of the TI book club to $15 for each book instead of $10 because the price of everything has gone up. And that's everything for next week. Talk about that more.
Are you an official book club? Because you usually just give the names of books. I don't know when you're discussing it. Is there a line for when you discuss the book?
I discuss them here. But a way to keep track of the book club is on TI Club 3 on Twitter, which is where I just posted Prophets of War, which is the history of Lockheed. And then I've got 123 books. And as soon as the Amazon Book Club page is active, then you'll be able to access all that. And then once it's organized better, then we can talk about it more.
But you don't have a date for a formal discussion specifically for the book club.
I am here for Synthetic Telepathy and Synthetic Dreams. A book club is just to help people understand how synthetic telepathy works. Okay, thank you for your inquiry. Anybody else have any commentary? So you could go check out that Wednesday night call, and because having the part of the reason I did this call was to get people to do more calls and to have more book clubs and more conferences and more opinions and more stuff. So, maybe I might join their book club because I'm not doing anything on Wednesday, so I'm all for it. So if you can let me know how that works, I'd like it too.
Chris, I'm wondering about the term of synthetic telepathy, and this is Heather. Enjoying your show, as always. But I'm wondering, is remote neural monitoring considered synthetic?
Remote neural monitoring is the control signal that feeds all the information back and forth. It's monitoring, basically. It's the feedback loop part of the,
right.
So it's kind of like a CB radio. The speaker plays back the voice.
But it's suggesting, I guess, so it's so finely tuned that it's not actually the remote neural monitoring that's giving me suggestions.
It is a remote neural monitoring giving you suggestions, yes. I get them too.
Okay.
Yeah, they had me on a
Okay,
wild
so,
goose chase for my hold song. It was weird.
yeah. Well, like, I don't even realize it's giving me suggestions, but I do not hear voices or anything like that. But I mean, I can tell it so, I guess as time goes on, it gets so, I mean, increasingly, it's AI, it gets increasingly
I
precise.
truly believe,
But,
I believe we've had an influencing technology for decades in this country in different areas.
Me too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really
I was
believe
running
that.
into,
I really believe that, and I've heard that that's true.
yeah, I do too. And the people that were targeting me when I was a young woman, they've never told me, but I've pieced it together. They're connected to the intelligence community.
They usually are, yeah.
So, yeah, I know. It's probably like no surprise, but I think of things that were going on to me a long time ago, and it's so cruel, to say the least. But, for their own children, I'm sure they wouldn't dare do this to their kids.
Yeah, they do it to their own children, too.
Do they really? Well, I guess that could make sense. But would they do it to themselves, or would maybe their coworkers?
They probably don't do it. Well, the CIA would drug people in the CIA agency with LSD and not tell them to see how they react. One time the CIA had a party and they put it in the punch to see how people react. So that's the type of thing they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they target their own too.
Yeah, Frank Olson was drugged and he jumped out the window of his hotel after they tortured him by drugging him, and he was one of.
Remember that story?
Remember that story? Yeah. So yeah, they kept drugging him and drugging him. So they do it electronically now, and like I said, it could be an electric RX DARPA type technology that manipulates your brain, that makes chemicals that mimic a drug. Yeah.
I know.
What do you think?
Well,
that's my hypothesis.
I believe it, Chris, because personally it's happened to me, and it takes so long, or at least for me, to connect dots. But when I first started reading about this a few years ago and hearing people's testimonies, I thought, no way, they don't knock people out with energy. But it's happened to me, and you just get this sudden grogginess out of the blue, not after a meal or anything, just
right,
knockout.
Because the brain is chemicals and electricity. Of course, it can manipulate both.
Yeah. So, thanks for explaining that. And with synthetic telepathy, then that includes suggestions.
Well, it doesn't really. Synthetic telepathy is the actual, telepathy could be feelings and emotions and ideas too. So yes.
Yeah. Something that we think is intuition, our own intuition.
Right, your sixth sense. Yeah, they are electronically mimicking sixth sense too.
Yeah, this is just so shocking. And there's no way that.
Well, I wanted to ask you because you said a minute ago, but I didn't catch the last word. You said when you first brought it up, you said it's becoming increasingly, and then I didn't hear what you said. Increasingly what?
I was trying to grab a word or figure out, but it's increasingly fine-tuned as time progresses.
It's fine-tuned to your brain. It's fine-tuned to your brain signature. So yeah, Heather.
Right.
And would you call it subliminal, since you said you don't get B2K or something? Would you Heather call it subliminal, or what was your term?
Well, I say it's very efficient. I was trying to clarify if because I don't get the voices, audible voices, but the remote neural monitoring, which probably all of us have, I didn't know if that was considered. Sorry, synthetic telepathy.
Well, we don't.
That was the word.
RNM. I don't have RNM, and I know a lot of TIs who do not have RNM. So we don't all have remote neural.
You may not know it, though, because I've had it for a long time, and I didn't realize. So
some brains are not compatible.
I know everything I'm getting.
Okay.
Believe it or not, different brains react to it, and I believe it's the size of the brain that resonates. That's my off theory, but
and I believe that that they just haven't tried that yet. They've tried many other things that I don't get, like I don't get the V2K, and I don't get the subliminals, and I don't get like I said but the tinnitus. They keep trying the tinnitus, but they've been unsuccessful. But it's a handheld.
That's a good point.
That's because I've been in my car. So they keep coming up to my car occasionally and trying to engage the tinnitus, but I know that it's portable. I know that when they walk away from my car, I won't hear it. Go ahead.
It's interesting. Yeah. Well, I lost the hearing. It's come back, but this is a few years ago when I didn't know I was a target. And I remember going to the doctors, and of course all these medical experiences have plausible deniability because people do, experience hearing loss for different reasons. But I've since read how that is a symptom of, like they were testing me, and it was the most bewildering experience to have, affected my gait and my ability to walk even. To have no hearing, it was just in one ear, but the doctor at the time said, "Oh, you just must have had a cold that settled in your ear." But I didn't have cold symptoms, anyways. But
and were they hitting your ear? Do you recall? Were they hitting your ear? Could you feel anything hitting your ear at the time back when you lost your hearing?
I think. Well, I can't recall if I felt pain, but I heard a high-pitched noise, like a tinnitus, I guess you'd say. It wasn't unbearable, but it was more like this kind of distorted sound in my other ear. I remember that. But, and then I also had, I've heard people talk about you can get coughing attacks. And again, I thought, no way, people get coughing attacks. Then it happened to me and someone who I was working with. Yeah, I've heard you do that, Chris. I've heard you say that before, and I believe it because, like a lot of these things, it's not until we experience it firsthand that we realize, oh my gosh, this is real.
Yes, and people have said for years that people around them cough. So I believe they can make people around you cough, which I've had reports on that too.
And at the time, a couple people I worked with were perps, and my world was spinning. I didn't know, not figure literally, but I didn't know what was going on. And I remember one of the women saying, well, you sure keep coughing. But it's like she was making fun of me, and I couldn't catch my breath.
Yeah.
But, it wasn't like I was sick or anything.
Is that when she said that to you? Is that when you realized that that just maybe she might be involved because she was mocking you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And it's so vicious, because it terrorizes the victim.
Well, when people cough, they generally walk. They don't get near someone. In society, that's a society thing, as you know. So they're using society's thing against you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I heard, Ramona D a couple of years ago, she interviewed a guy from Tucson that mentioned that they make him sneeze. Well, I didn't notice it in the interview, but he obviously noticed it because he was having to sneeze, but I couldn't really tell it. So, but that was new to hearing, I wouldn't have said anything out loud.
They make Mac G sneeze. We have the sneezer in the house here. They make him sneeze 3 times when he tries to talk to me. Yeah, you got it.
Oh my gosh.
So I can set a knock 3 times, on the ceiling if you want me to sneeze 3 times to shut up. What the heck?
Hey, you guys. Hi, this is Becky. Can you guys hear me?
Hey, Becky, where you been? Hello, Becky. Come on in. I'm just getting ready to wrap the recording up, but you can get in on the last minute, please.
Oh, that's good because they're setting up more equipment to target me tonight, so I don't know what that means, so pray for my safety. I don't know if they're just doing the noises and all that upstairs, like they're setting equipment up just to scare me, or I assume they really are setting stuff up. And there's a car outside that they have a ladder to the top of the car, so because I have to leave a window open a little bit, a high up window to get some fresh air, so I don't know if they're doing that to scare me or what. So yeah, so hopefully I'll make it through the night okay. So it's getting really crazy around here.
Well, we will pray for you, honestly, so please hang in there, please.
Yeah, you know, it's really weird. They got these sheds all around that are not exactly on the property. They're just outside the property. And I looked out my window last night, and one of them had a giant generator in it, and it was cycling, and you could actually see the light of it spinning, cycling out in the shed. And so because I hear generators around me, I mean, not just above me, all over several generators. So, you know, they're really amping things up. So, but
well, thank you for
your.
Yeah, that's interesting with the generators. Well, thank you for your input, and I appreciate everybody on BitChute. I'm going to end this recording now, and we're going to go ahead and have, if you ever decide to come into the call, we turn the recording off at 7 p.m. Anyway, thank you, everyone, for helping me on the recording. We're going to shut the recording off. Thank you for watching. Good night to you.